Because a lot of times we find ourselves in a relationship with someone, we start getting really intimate and sexual, and then all of a sudden, it's not really what we thought it was going to be like, and then we're kind of in the middle of the mix trying to figure things out. So this is going to help you out before you get into that relationship. Things that you should note before getting into any romantic relationship. The number one thing that you should do before getting into a romantic relationship is create a goal for yourself. It's very important to know what it is that you want to experience out of that relationship before getting into it. That way you can spot it early instead of being way too deep and then, we all know how that goes. So to create a goal for yourself, first you have to make sure that you create a goal that is in your control. I like to call that an in your control goal versus an out of your control goal. An in your control goal is a goal that you can do on your own. It doesn't require anything of the person that you're in a relationship with. It's something for you to do on your own that you can initiate by yourself and maintain by yourself, instead of creating a goal, like a couple's goal, things that you want to do together. And yeah, you guys can do that as well together, but before that, you have to know what it is that you would like to experience for yourself first. Some examples of out of your control goals would be wanting the other person to appreciate you, wanting the other person to see your value, and wanting the other person to notice all the things that you're going to be putting into the relationship, and wanting the other person to notice all the effort that you're going to be putting into that relationship. Those are all out of your control goals because it requires the other person noticing and appreciating and valuing, and we cannot control another person no matter who they are. So that would be setting up yourself for failure. So some of the in your control goals would be for you to speak about your feelings whenever you're hurt, to speak about your feelings whenever you're happy or excited. It would be to do loving actions like being present in the moment, encouraging the other person to be their best selves, to be patient, to have compassion for the other person and for yourself in that relationship. It could be just to be affectionate, to give kisses, to give hugs as many times as you can, to show the other person that you appreciate them at every opportunity that you get. And those are called in your control goals because all those things you can control. It doesn't matter what the other person does, you can still find something that you want to say to appreciate them, or whenever you feel hurt, speaking about how you feel, you can control that because that's something that you can do on your own. Alright, so I'm going to give you 3 tips to creating an in your control goal to set you up for success before getting into a romantic relationship. Tip number 1 is to state the goal that you are creating in the positive, saying what you want, versus saying it in the negative, saying what you don't want. So for example, your goal could be, I want to feel comfortable in this relationship and be able to talk about all the things that are important to me. That would be good. A positive, seeing it in a positive way versus saying, I don't want to feel needy and I don't want to feel embarrassed in this relationship, because that's saying what you don't want. So make sure you say it positively. For example, saying, I want to feel comfortable to freely talk about things that are important to me, instead of saying, I don't want to be needy in that relationship. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is in the title of the kind of goal we're creating, in your control. So make sure that the goal is in your control, something that you can do on your own without relying on your partner. Okay? So for example, doing loving actions such as, giving as many hugs as possible, saying as many appreciations as possible, versus wanting them to value you, wanting them to see your value, or wanting them to appreciate you. Those things are out of your control. Wanting the other person to do anything is out of your control. Tip number three is to describe ways in which you might be able to achieve that goal. So kind of just sit back and think, okay, let's use the example of wanting to be encouraging to the partner in that romantic relationship. So if my goal is to be encouraging in that relationship, what ways might I be encouraging? How can I encourage him? What are some scenarios that I can think of that I'd want to encourage him in? So kind of just sit back and come up with ideas and just envision yourself doing that in your mind. Like, what would he say, or what would she say that you would feel like, you know what, this is a good opportunity for me to actually be encouraging. And think about things that you could say that are encouraging. What are some encouraging things that you can say? Have them in mind already. So that's the third tip, is to describe in what ways you might achieve your goal. A really good goal to have is, an in your control goal to have, is to accept the other person for who they are. I know that kind of seems counterintuitive to a lot of people. Some people get into a relationship and they feel like they want to make the other person better by changing a lot of things that they're about their character, or changing a lot of things that they do. But if you go into a relationship with the intention of trying to change the other person, or just pointing out every single mistake that they do, it's not going to be a very good experience in that relationship. My top 3 tips for you today, again, are: number 1, write down what you would like to experience, what you want versus what you don't want. That's number 1. Number 2, this goal has to be something that you can control, meaning the other person doesn't have to do a damn thing for you to achieve it. Describe in what ways might you be able to achieve that goal. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. It's Akan from Coaching with Akan. I'm at the park. It's around 9 o'clock where I am. But there is still daylight, so I'm enjoying that, and I'm taking advantage of the nice weather for now.